Hi, thank you for taking time out of your day to come do this interview with me. I very much appreciate it. If you don't mind just kind of giving me like a little introduction to yourself and kind of what you do, and kind of what you work with, and just a general kind of job description, that'd be great.
Sure. My name is Hope Kelly. I am a Penn State graduate of class of 2021, and I majored in international business and digital marketing at Penn State. And so with that, I've had previous jobs, but I currently landed in a position at a company called Flywheel Digital, which is under the Essential Company brand. And what we do is primarily SEO and SEM optimization for companies. So we have online retailers such as Amazon, Walmart, Target, Sam's Club, Instacart, all those kind of different retailers. I primarily myself work on Amazon because I do all organic search. And so that's where our company has first geared towards to work in the retail space. And so primarily what I do is take products like protein powders and vitamin and supplement companies and help them organically grow their brands so that they're raising awareness on Amazon to have customers purchase their product from the top of the page.
That makes sense, yeah. So since that kind of sounds like you work hand in hand with Amazon and the algorithm they use to promote products and with over the counter kind of medicinal stuff. Do you think that within, the next 5 to 10 years, we could see direct to consumer advertising or just generally prescription pharmaceuticals being sold on Amazon or filled on Amazon? And if you do, how do you see that the marketing for that looking like and kind of the regulations that might affect that in the future?
I absolutely see like an online subscription to Amazon's pharmacy being a thing probably in the next 3 to 5 years. I don't see it being 10 years out because there's already companies like GoodRx and companies that are doing online pharmacies to submit your prescription or have doctors submit prescriptions to these companies to then be able to just be delivered right to your house. And so Amazon has the bandwidth and the supply chain to be able to produce those drugs really quickly and push them out to consumers quicker with per the Prime membership or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a very simple business unit to be an add-on for Amazon because of their supply chain, their bandwidth, and their spread across the nation. I don't think it would be a very hard thing for Amazon to do. I think it's mainly legalities of making sure that they have the staff of the right pharmacists and that we're not putting these high-end pharmaceutical drugs that could potentially kill someone in the hands of delivery drivers that don't know how to properly deliver it. The only other thing that I would say maybe could pose an issue or a bump in the road for Amazon would be drugs that need to be refrigerated. Sorry,
Yeah.
refrigerated.
Like
That way they
sensitive, yeah.
have temperature controlled vehicles where right now they only have the ability to, I guess, Instacart, like that term, grocery delivery service from Whole Foods, which is not necessarily going to be like their Amazon Fresh is hard to really call it fresh because they sell so many non-perishables. So that would be primarily the biggest thing that I would think that Amazon would have issues with is getting and purchasing the right amount of pharmacists to come in and have drugs on hand. So it's all in-house prescription instead of outsourcing, because outsourcing will drive their costs up. And now that we're down from COVID and Amazon world, it's definitely going to be something that Amazon's pulling back on their fulfillment centers right now for just general products as it is. So I would say in 5 years, once even though they still are the biggest company in the world, like they're going to continue to try to profit. So I would say primarily 5 years from now, we could see maybe refrigerated trucks, and possibly an online service where you're able to go in and put in like recurring prescriptions, maybe not one-off prescriptions, how you can like just send it to a Costco or a Walgreens to up your drug.
Yeah. And you mentioned kind of like in the legality of it and, making sure there's not dangerous drugs and things like that. do you think that there's an ethical problem that could arise with making these direct, prescriptions kind of accessible? And do you think it would like manifest itself in, pricing or safety or accessibility or that kind of stuff? Like, is there, what do you, how do you think it would manifest if there was one?
This is a great question because Amazon just released a new program. I don't remember what the name was of one. It was called like Amazon Plus or Amazon Everyone, where they're offering a lower price subscription for those that qualify for EBT or government accessible funds.
Mhm.
And so I like the idea of a pharmacy for Amazon because of the fact that they make products available to everyone everywhere.
Mhm.
And so that adds the additional factor of the issues we're facing in the current economy of not everyone has accessible healthcare, not everyone has accessible everything.
Yeah.
Where Amazon makes every single good accessible to pretty much everyone, whether
Yeah.
it's a 2-day Prime shipping or a 2-week shipping on regular Amazon. But I like that when you said that, it just brought that to my mind, like how they're altering their platform to reach a lot wider customer group, and they still want to make it accessible. I want to say it's called Amazon Plus. I can send you a
Okay.
link for it if you want to
Yeah.
read anything about it, but that would be really, really nice for especially that group to have who maybe don't have access to these high-end pharmacies and they don't want to pay this crazy amount of money because Amazon will drop the price on these pharmaceutical drugs for them.
Yeah.
And they're able to use their EBT cards and they're able to use their HSA and FSA cards to go through Amazon. So ethically, I think speaking, it could become abused by some, but I don't think that it would be such a huge problem in total. I think it would mainly be like a couple one-off situations, and Amazon would have to really like dig deep into their legalities and ethically, like, does this align with our business goal before they start pushing it
Like
out?
they wouldn't face more issues than a regular pharmacy. kind of.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you were mentioning like accessibility. Do you think, and I know you work again with products and marketing and all that. So do you think I imagine pricing kind of comes into plays a big role in that. Do you think that with the accessibility, we're trying to make these products and these pharmaceuticals more accessible? How do you think pricing will play a factor in that? Because right now I know there's a big issue with pricing on a lot of drugs like insulin and things like that. Do you think that manufacturers or Amazon or even third-party sellers will have an issue with pricing in terms of making them more or less financially accessible to those who need them?
I don't know if there would be more of a supply chain cost to have everything delivered to the house. I would think that it would be a very similar business model to GoodRx, who's shipped right to home.
Mhm.
But I don't see like the marketing really being an issue for it. I think it would just be general brand awareness from the get-go, like, hey, Amazon, and everyone who has an Amazon account would get a pop-up every single time they log into an app or onto the desktop browser. So
Yeah.
we're now offering pharmaceutical services. Everyone on Amazon knows. People check Amazon probably based on the traffic from the last 4 days, which was the cyber weekend of the year. But I mean, overall, you're going to see a crazy amount of traffic on Amazon no matter what. So there wouldn't be a lot of marketing that needs to go into it. It would be
Mhm.
more or less where that cost comes from is Amazon's external profit from their Prime memberships and their Amazon Plus membership. So every year I pay $25 to be on Amazon's Prime membership and then a $10 fee every month. So it's like that the money that they have is somewhere they're profiting no matter
Yeah.
what. And they have that money to like ship out high funnel
Mhm.
marketing. But my main concern would be the supply chain. That's where their profits would maybe take a small hit to start, but not long term.
Yeah. And then kind of the last question, just to kind of encapsulate all of it. Do you think that if this does come to fruition, which it probably will, what kind of regulations, at least federally or, just within the drug market are gonna kind of manifest themselves with this? Because obviously it's not a new idea, but it is having it be that convenient to get pharmaceuticals. I imagine there's probably going to be a lot more regulations on them and, kind of restrictions on them. So what do you think that's going to kind of look like in the future?
I would say first thing that comes to my head is like, I live with a roommate and we both have Prime membership. So both of us getting like maybe an over-the-counter drug to the same household. I think they might regulate by house address for like more over-the-counter. I think about like medicinal marijuana has been legalized in so many states. So I live in a household with someone who doesn't have a medicinal marijuana card. I don't have one, but to say if, for example, I did and my roommate didn't,
Mhm.
I can't be, there has to be a limit on some point, like how much I can be ordering over the
Yeah.
counter, but getting prescribed to how often I can fill my prescriptions, like the same
Mhm.
idea of like, oh, you can only refill your prescription by this date in a pharmacy. The same thing would run for that. But regulation wise, I think it'd be really, really tough for Amazon to link accounts that are not like linked by phone or email or
Right.
by address, which would be really hard. And they would probably have to have a team that flags certain drugs going to certain
Mhm.
locations and if there's hot spots for certain drugs coming in. And I think about like, you can hear I'm sick right now. I just took a Sudafed this morning, which
Yeah.
is really helpful for me. And I only take it whenever I'm sick, but there's hot spots for that, which will be in the north when it's cold because people are getting sick and have sinus infections. So
Right.
it's how does Amazon take that data and backfill it into their upper funnel DSP programs where they're pushing out like Sudafed available in your area
Mhm.
through Amazon Prime, like get 1 day shipping, but then it's like they're marketing the ability to produce meth inside a household. So those are the kind of
Yeah.
things that could potentially, I would like fear that happens, like being able to take drugs from Amazon and then produce
Mhm.
something a lot worse. And then Amazon being on the back burner because they just ship these drugs to people's houses.
Right. Yeah.
But like I said before, it's also then it comes back to the pro of that is the accessibility part of it. Like people who live
Mhm.
in the city and don't have access to a car, but
Yeah.
have an Amazon driver that's going to drop off their stuff in their mailbox. That's extremely convenient. I think about when I was in college, I didn't always have access to a really great pharmacy
Yeah.
and I had to walk 20 minutes to my car
Yeah.
to be able to drive out of town to go to a pharmacy and a doctor. Like having an Amazon person deliver my Sudafed or my
Yeah.
antibiotic for my sinus infection to my house would be A1. So I think
Yeah.
about how awesome that would be, but also how unfortunate it is that people would abuse the system.
Yeah. I think too, as like you said, mentioned it being like in the city and not having to walk to the pharmacy. I think it also helps a lot with the rural community, it sounds like, because imagine that's probably very difficult to get that far off of a, land that you're on just to go pick up one prescription. I feel as though it'd probably be really convenient to have Amazon be able to deliver that. So
Especially if they're already coming
yeah.
with other deliveries. I know, especially people in rural
Right.
areas that we have an area about 25 minutes north of me in Orlando where I have friends that drive in on the weekends and it takes them an hour and a half to get here, but they get Amazon stuff every weekend. Like they can get their like this is like sounds kind of stupid, but their corn for their
Yeah.
cows that they
Yeah.
feed, like their corn feed,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
their pigs and stuff, like they can get that Amazon delivered to their house.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, it's already coming to my house anyways. It's not like Amazon's going out of their way
Right.
to deliver this.
Yeah, exactly. So do you have any kind of questions for me and anything I can help answer if there is any?
I would say my question for you would be, how do you see yourself and your generation kind of playing a part in this like next step of accessible healthcare, and what is would be your role in maybe working for Amazon or working for a big pharma that's going to help you, like this project would help you gear a case study towards to present to somebody in an interview?
Yeah. I think our generation, ours would honestly be I think we're the pioneer generation of at least making accessibility the main focus, in my opinion. I think making things accessible to everyone and making sure everyone can get those things safely and appropriately and timely, I think is our generation's kind of main focus. And I think also doing it sustainably is another really big focus. So I think for my generation at least, I see us kind of taking the jump that the earlier part of our generation, like you have, and taking that jump that you all made to making things like Amazon, so easily accessible to everyone. I think our generation will kind of piggyback off of that and make it more and spread it out more and add more products to the lines and kind of just make it bigger, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I think too that our generation will help with the not creative aspect of it, but the more, I think we'll have a lot of good ideas when it comes to trying to put products in certain places and marketing campaigns and everything like that. So I think having, working around restrictions, I think is the big thing that our generation will have to deal with, as opposed to the pioneering that your part of our generation had to deal with.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of what that's my opinion on it. I think we're kind of the tail end of what you guys have started for us, which is really nice. But I'm excited to see where it goes, because I know it's going to be pretty crazy, I imagine, with everything that's been going on. So,
And you mentioned sustainability in that response, and I think that that's a huge thing to talk about. When I studied international business at Penn State, we talked a lot about sustainability in one of my courses, and
yeah,
how Amazon is this big giant, and we think about like it really does much more condense the amount of emissions used from people driving their cars to the store to do a grocery run, or
right.
Amazon is a lot of one-off purchases, which is what we found out. So
Yeah,
like when you order that random, I don't even want to like think of like random pair of shorts or something that you can't
yeah,
always get in a Walmart that you have to drive 30 minutes to a little boutique to get.
yeah,
Amazon's great for that, and they're able to minimize the emissions by
yeah,
picking up a car in a warehouse, filling the truck, and driving it to 7 locations versus all thousands of
7
people that are
people.
in those 7 locations
Yep.
drive and pick up and drop off. And I think about my complex, I have 650 units in this complex, which is not only just 650 people, it's probably upwards of like 1,000,
Yeah,
1,200 people. So it's the sustainability part of that. What Amazon does is great. And they just implemented a lot of new electric trucks for like the smaller city areas, like Baltimore has them in the city. We see them all the time. And then their fulfillment centers are running off of solar now too, and all these different things. So they're doing a lot to move towards that sustainable aspect, but they still do have a lot of just issues in general with trucks
right.
driving from California to Baltimore to Florida to these rural areas like
Yeah,
Idaho that doesn't always have like a fulfillment center nearby.
yep.
So they're talking Vegas or Minneapolis, and geographically speaking, like the closest fulfillment center to them. So they're going to have a longer wait time. And there's a lot of things that go into that idea of sustainability that Amazon could be doing a lot better job of. But
Absolutely.
obviously it's a work in progress. Like you said, like we pioneered this idea of Amazon and how to be more efficient with our resources in the US. And I think a lot of it has to do with politics too. So as we move into next year's election, I think it'll be really important for your generation to keep on and with what you guys speak up about, whether it's accessible healthcare or more sustainable environment and all that kind of stuff. So the pharmas and the Amazons of the world, like Walmart and Target, so much of that is played into politics. And so
Right.
I always tell students that are in college to go take a poli-sci class, because poli-sci is a part of business, whether or not people want to admit it or not. So
Yeah.
it's really important that you guys get in and take that class to be able to understand how that plays a role in what you're doing in your random corporate job. Like I literally work from home. I sit on my computer and I play with numbers on Amazon all day. Like I have a great job. It's super fun, but if I had different politics in the air right now, it might be a little different, because Amazon might be chugging along a little bit better if somebody else is president, or we might have already had accessible pharmacy on Amazon in the next year.
Right.
So
Right.
always I tell everyone to take a poli-sci class. It's really interesting. You learn a lot. So that'd be my long extended answer about the sustainability stuff. Just kind of going full circle back to college.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if you don't have anything else for me, I have anything else for you. Thank you again for taking the time out of your day to come do this with me. I very much appreciate it. If there's anything else, I'd be happy to help. But otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and thank you again.
Thanks, Claire. Have a good one.
Have a good one.